Okay, so let's take up the assignment, this finance assignment, because we will see quite a bit on EQAO based on the finance stuff. So some of the questions are common sense, some of them you have to do calculations. So if you see common sense questions on EQAO, I hope you get those because they are supposed to be easy marks. So number one right here, what is the purpose of a budget? To keep track of your income and your expense. If your income is higher than your expense, that means you're in good hands. You have some savings. You have money to spend. If your income is less than expense, that means you are in debt and big trouble, and you need to balance it. Number two, what are fixed expense? What are variable expense? So fixed expense is like rent when you have the same amount month to month. Right. Net income. So remember we talked about this in Canada. The more you make, the more you take away. Unfortunately. So let's say your salary is 100K. It doesn't mean your salary is 100K because the government likes to take anywhere between 30 to 40% off of that. And yeah, so yes. So after that, after their deduction, that's your net income. Savings. So the bank account. So some people were asking me about this last week. So checking account are ones that usually don't pay you any interest, but you get like other perks like free withdrawal, free transactions. These with more like withdrawals. So like a lot of businesses will use this because they do a lot of transactions. Savings account, they pay you a little bit of interest. And back in the days, when you have a savings account and you withdraw money, they actually charge you $1 each time. Yeah, because they want to discourage you from withdrawing so that you can save your money. But now with a student account, I don't think they charge anything. High interest savings account, it is the real thing. It's called a high interest e savings. So what it is like they pay you a little bit higher interest for saving, but the only catch is you need one business day to withdraw your money. And then cash account is just like a piggy bank, which does nothing for you. Okay. Um, what is interest? Remember, interest can go both way. It could be money you earn in a savings account or money you pay when you borrow money. Okay, so remember to read the question carefully so that you know which part of interest is it. Which one is a need rather than a want? You need food to survive. You do not need Bruno Mars tickets. Okay. All right. Number seven. This one I was nice as well. Most of you choose either B or D. Okay. The correct answer is actually just B. Okay, because how much money you earn does not affect your credit score. It's how well you pay off your loans. So, for example, if you are a millionaire but you never pay your credit cards, your credit score is going to be really low. Okay. So, you could be in a lot of debt and not pay, even though you're a millionaire. Okay. So, it actually doesn't matter how much you earn. And then, as for credit cards as well, we talked about having a credit card is a good thing because it builds your credit score, but the amount you have, like if you have 10 credit cards, it doesn't go go against you or for you. It's the balance. Okay, so if you have 10 credit cards, uh, but you have a zero balance and everything, then that's a good thing. But if you only have one credit card and you have a zero balance, that's also a good thing. So the number of credit cards you have, it actually doesn't matter. It's your the balance that matters. Okay. But then I was pretty lenient with this, so I just if you chose B or D, I gave you the mark. Okay. Number eight. Which one costs you the most interest if you don't pay it off in time? Do you guys know how much credit cards charge you? Anyone know what's how much interest they charge you for credit cards? You guys never looked at a bank statement, credit card statement? Oh. Okay, so remember, bank accounts pay you 0.2%. Paying you interest. So how much do they charge you interest? 20%. Yes, 20. Yes, so make sure you pay off your credit cards. And on credit card statements, you'll see something that's called minimum payment. Okay, so that minimum payment doesn't mean if you pay that minimum, you get exempted. It's you pay that minimum, then they charge you 20%. If you don't pay that minimum, they charge you 30%. Yes. So, yes, that's how they make their money. So, make sure you pay it on time. Um, Number 9, you actually had to use the compound monthly formula because it says monthly. So I know that for this, I had the interest, I have to divide it by 12. And then here, notice month, 1.5 years, different units. So your exponent right here is 18, not 1.5. Okay, it has to match up. When you put all this into the calculator, it will give you 1,500 something. I don't see that right here. That's because it's asking how much interest you owe. So you have to subtract 1,500 with the 1,200, and then you'll get that you paid 368 for interest. Okay. Number 10, 10% of 9,600. So 0.10 times that is 960. And then you want to know how much each month. So divided by 12, and then you get 80. Which one about compound interest is true? So the definition we said about compound interest is interest on interest. So C, you earn interest on the interest previously earned. Otherwise, it's called simple interest. Okay, number 12, inflation. What is inflation? What is inflation? Krishay?
Inflation is when things get more expensive than what you actually earn.
Excellent, good. Okay, so inflation means like things gets more and more expensive. So, right, okay, so that's why people go on strike. Okay, because they're saying inflation goes up this much, but you're capping my salary here. I'm never going to catch up to inflation. That's why people go on strike and say, bring us up to here so that we can at least survive. Okay, at least keep at par, if anything. So, if not, then what happens is you'll never catch up. You lose purchasing power. All right, because now that apple costs $2 rather than the 50 cents. Yeah. All right. Number 13, I took this one out because the wording, I felt that like some of you chose B, some of you chose C, and it was all because of the wording. After how many days does the pay-as-you-go plan cost more? Technically, after 30 days, then it costs more. But then I don't know why I put 30 and 31. So then I just like, forget it. Okay, it's okay. I'll let you guys, I'll just take this out. For the new version, I did change up the question so that is not so so iffy. Okay, number 14. I also took this one out because remember I gave you guys that little insert for the density. So technically, if you look at this, each of the groups have 5 numbers, and so which one is most dense? This one, where it's spanning between 6 numbers only. So the correct answer for this one was B. But I took it out because I felt that I didn't explain it clearly enough in the during the lesson. So then, to be fair, I took it out. Each of you guys got this already last week with a little insert. So again, set A, there's 6 numbers, but keep in mind 14 minus 2, it's a span of a 12 range. So when you divide it, you get 0.5. Same thing here. When biggest number 17, smallest number -3. So your denominator is spanning over 20 numbers. So the density is 0.25. And then here, there's 3 numbers, 3 natural numbers in the set. When you divide it, you get 0.35. So out of these 3 sets, A is the most dense because it's the highest number. Okay. You guys got this last week. Just in case they ask something like this in EQAO. I don't think I included a density question on the final exam. I don't think I did. Okay, but in case you see it on EQAO, you know the formula. So the formula, number of elements divided by the range. Okay, so keep in mind about the range. Number 15, three potential problems with data collection. These were straight from the notes. Again, I didn't need any explanation, any definition. It was just choosing three from that list. Similarly, on the exam, if I ask something like that, it will just be something like this. I don't need definitions. Number 16, this was actually the exact same example that was in the book. Okay, so there were, I think, 4 to 6 samples that you had to choose from. And in this case, it was stratified random sample. Right? Number 17, box plot. All right, so you do need to know how to draw it. I said I told you guys already, you will see it on the final exam. It will be worth 5 marks. So you need to know how to draw it. So some people were asking me if 20 is the median, do I still include it in the Q1 and Q3? So if this is your median, to the left of it, this part is calculating your Q1. And then to the right of it, you use this part to calculate Q3. Okay? And then one thing I wanted to point out is don't forget the scale, because a few of you did 10, 15, 20, 25, and then 35. Okay, so make sure you have to have a scale, and so that it shows this line, this 25 percentile right here, it's longer. Okay, this median question, I was pretty lenient with it as long as you defined what a median is. Middle value, 50 percentile. All right. And then here, again, I rephrased it the question because I think it was a two-part question that I wanted to ask, but I didn't ask the two-part question. So is it below, within, or above the interquartile range? So interquartile is just Q3 minus Q1, which is the 10. So when you do the 10 times, so your Q3 was 25. So 28 is above the, it's, so 28 is above the Q3. But what I wanted to ask was, is it an outlier? So if you want to figure out if it's an outlier, you have to times it by that 1.5 and then add it to Q3. So then it's 40. So 28 is within 40. So it is within. It's not. It's not. So the correct answer for this is it should be 28 is above the IQR and is not an outlier. Okay. So I actually had like a two-part question in here, but I forgot to write it as a two-part question. So there you go. As long as you showed me the Q3 minus the Q1 times 1.5, I gave you the mark for it. Okay, and then this last part, the Venn diagram. First off, with the Venn diagram, I need to see a box. Okay, a lot of you guys didn't draw that box. Why do you need that box? Because gym membership, if you don't gym membership that you never use, that means you don't need it and you don't want it. So that should go on the outside of the two circles. But I know that some of you can argue about that. So that's why for some of you, you'll see that I put minus 0.5, but then on Brightspace, I gave you back that 0.5 because I know it could be like a whole argument that we could argue for an hour, and I don't want to argue for 1 hour with 2 days left of school. So there you go. You guys got the benefit of the doubt. And then for phone and car, in the middle, because phone, some people say they do need it, but then on the other hand, you don't need an iPhone 17, right? So that's why it's in the middle. Same with cars. Car for work, so you need it, but also technically you could take the TTC as well. So then that's why it's also in the middle. Okay, so there you go. that was the assignment out of 28. You can check your mark on Brightspace. I'm gonna come around to do a quick homework check of this Friday. Friday, I gave you guys the exam review package. How many of you did it? What if you did it, but you didn't understand most of it? I didn't. We'll take it. We'll take it up. Exam review. Okay, so this exam review package. So when I gave this out on Friday, I did say use a calculator. I do want you guys to use a calculator because you are allowed to use a calculator on the. I said in class that you should use a calculator, and I want you guys to make sure you know how to use your calculator. So for the first one. I know, I said it. I told you guys in class. So for my calculator, I would have to press the second and then or shift button to get the square root and then 0.64. I know a lot of calculators, you guys have to punch the number first and then the square root. So know how to use it. You get 0.8. So right here between 0 and 1. What if it's a fraction? So 100 over 9, you get this, 11.1111. So when I do this, I go second shift. Does that mean I have to punch that number in 11.11 like this? That like that? You could, or there's a this button right here that a lot of people don't know about. ANS. When I press that, it recalls the last number. Okay, so you don't have to memorize, you don't have to write down, you don't have to round your number anymore. So in this case, I just have to do second to get that square root, and then press that ANS button, and it will give me the answer. So 3.3. So this is a very useful button. You'll definitely need to use it in grade 11 and 12 because it takes your last number with all the digits. ANS. Yeah. You do have it. You have to press the second or the shift button. It's usually around here. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of so for example, let me see. Yeah, it recalls your last answer. It's a lot of calculators have it. If you do, use it. All right. And number 2 right here. This was a little confusing question because it asks for what is the surface area of the whole building. But to save time, I just did the roof. Okay, so your first step is to figure out all the missing side lengths. Okay, so you have this, and this tick right here, which means that all 3 of these are 6 meters. So if I know this is 6, that means what's left is the 16 for this one because the whole length is 28. This is the tricky part. How do I know this is 9 and this is 10? Anyone want to explain how do I know that? Okay, Con? The other side is 15, but that doesn't tell me that this is 10 and 9. Sarah?
Like for the first half, it's like, wait, 19 minus 6, which the, no, down there.
19 minus 6, but it's not all the way to the bottom. Yeah. Martin? Right. Right. So if this whole length right here is 15, and you know this part is 6, so 15 minus 6, which means this part is 9. And then the rest of it would have to be 10. Okay. Once we have that, we can break it into 3 separate rectangles. So area 1 right here, length times width. Area 2, length times width. Area 3, length times width right here. And then when you add those 3 areas up, you get the surface area of the roof. Okay. It does say the sides are 5 meter tall, so you technically have to add up all the other rectangles as well. But you guys get the idea. Number 3, skill testing questions to see if you win the prize. Unfortunately, this person did not win the prize. So, you know how like the Tim Horton roll up the rim to win? So this person might have won a car, but then because they don't know bad math, they didn't win the car. Okay. So the key right here, remember you get to use a calculator. So if you see brackets, make sure you put brackets. So -4 in brackets to the exponent 3. Does it give me a positive or negative answer? Negative, because negative inside the bracket to our odd exponents, you get that. What about -2 to the exponent 4? Well, this part you'll get a positive, and then because of this minus sign, so it's minus positive 16, right? Because it's of the even exponent. And then after you do that, don't forget you do have to do BEDMAS. So division first, and then multiplication, and then you get the answer. Number 4, exponent rule. When you multiply, you add the exponents. When you divide, you subtract. And then when you have an exponent raised to another exponent, you multiply. Okay, so write as a single power. That's what it is. And then to evaluate, then you get 46656. 46656 as the answer. Okay, so remember the exponent rule. Add, subtract, multiply. Okay, number 7. Skipping over to number 7. To create a table of value, remember time is always your independent variable. So time, t, is like your x, and then distance is your y. Since you're starting off at 0, 0, so 0, 0, after 1 second, you're at 3 meters. After 2 seconds, you're at 6 meters. When I graph it, I get a graph something like this. It is linear because they all line up in a straight line. I can tell my rate of change is the same. Is it continuous or discrete data? Remember, linear, nonlinear, and continuous discrete is 2 separate ideas. So, yes, I know it's linear, but is it continuous? Yes, because?
Because like she could run, like you just know when she's running for this amount of time, she'll go this far.
Time, right? So time is always continuous. Whenever a question deals with time, it's always continuous because time doesn't stop. Okay, time doesn't stop when you take a break. It still goes on. And if you were to write it in y equals mx plus 3 form, it's just d equals 3t because there's your y-intercept is 0, 0. Right? Question.
You know the question 4? I got 5 to the power, 6 to the power of 5.
Remember when you have an exponent to an exponent, you multiply. You don't add. Yeah. Okay. Common mistake people do. All right, number 8, interpolation, extrapolation. So interpolation at 2 weeks, go up to your graph, go across. It's about 140. Every year I see this on EQAO. Right, so you will see a question like this. Either interpolation or extrapolation. They want to make sure you guys know how to read a graph, basically. Okay. Number 10. Skipping over to number 10. You want to find the shaded area. So length times width, take away length times width. Algebra. When you multiply, remember 3x times 4x, you get 12x squared. And 3x times 3x times 3, it's 9x. When you simplify, you get this as your expression. They tell you that x is 1.5, so when you sub it in, okay, if you have a calculator, that tells you exactly, that shows you what you're typing in, then you just have to show it as is. Okay, don't forget the brackets when you do that, and it will tell you the answer right away. Okay, remember dimension is centimeters, area centimeter square, volume centimeter cube. If you get the wrong unit on the final exam, half a mark off. If you don't write your unit, half a mark off. If you rounding error, round wrong, half a mark off. Not for imperial, but for the King Henry one, yes, you do. Yeah. No, they give you. So same thing. So the metric ones, you have to know. The imperial one, they will give you for both EQAO and final. Okay. Number 11, you have two stores right here. Remember y equals mx plus b form. By now, you have to know that how to write the equation given a word problem. So the m is the per part. So when I read this question, $6 per hour, I know that that's my m. And then the 350 for the helmet is the add-on. This one, it provides the helmet, so it's just this plus 0 or just simply that. Okay. Okay, good. Similarly, for this one, number 12, writing the equation in y equals mx plus b form, I have this. It wants you to write it as an inequality. So that because I only have $12, so it's like this, maximum $12. Move the 275 over and divide by 0.6. I get that m should be less than 15.4. So for my number line, when I graph it, it's just a number line, 15.4, solid circle pointing to the left. Now, if I were to graph this, notice this one have c and m, two variables, then I'm going to be graphing x, y axis graph. So this is what it will look like with the x and y. And then my line is here. Okay. And then I would shade in below it because my cost is below that. Right? So remember the difference between inequality graph and a number line. So if there's two variables, it looks something like this. One variable is just a number line. Okay, number 14. Number 14, whenever we talk about scale factor, remember you're not adding or subtracting. It's always multiply or divide. So in this case, 60 divided by 1.5, it's a scale of 40. So 40 times, so the model is 40 times smaller, or you can say the real thing is 40 times bigger. But notice how you say 40 times this, 40 times that. So you're not adding or subtracting. You're dividing or multiplying. Okay, last one. Bobby. So this is the building. This is Bobby, who's 1.7 meter tall. He casts a shadow of 2.5. The building casts a shadow of 12 meters. So when you set up your fractions, building, Bobby's height, shadow, Bobby's shadow. Okay, so remember you have to be consistent with the order of how you're comparing. Once you have the fraction equals another fraction, cross multiply divide. So cross multiply 2.58, 20.4. Now this part, a lot of people still make this silly mistake. People do when they know to divide and then they do this 2.5 divided by 20.4. Okay, notice the answer that you get doesn't really make sense because the building is not 0.12 meters tall. Okay, that means you're taller than the building. So you're moving that 2.5, so that 2.5 goes to the bottom. So it's 20.4 divided by 2.5, and then you get this. Okay, remember for word problems, the good thing with word problems is whatever answer you get, take like 10 seconds to think if your answer makes sense. Okay, so let's just say I made that silly error. I did this. Well, does it make sense that Bobby is 1.7 meters tall, but the building is 0.12 meters tall? No, he will not fit. Okay, it's gonna be like a building for ants or something. So make sure if it's a word problem, check to see if your answer makes sense. If not, then you know you made a mistake somewhere. Any way that, as long as you're showing work. Okay. And I'll talk to that in a second. Okay. And then last one that I want to go over, reflection, rotation, translation. Those are the three that we talked about in class during the lesson. So I don't like the wording of these questions. A reflection in the horizontal line through 5 on the y-axis, aka reflection on the y equals 5 line, basically. And then this reflection in the vertical line through 4 on the x-axis, it just means reflection on the x equals 4 line. So here I have this mirror line. If I were to reflect it, so which means it flips up to here, that's my new line. And then the other one, x equals 4, and I'm flipping it over to this side. So then it's another reflection. Reflections are like the mirror line. And then the other one that we talked about, rotation. So remember, rotating it 90 degrees is the same as perpendicular. Okay. And then last one is translation. So just shifting up, down, left, right. Okay. So you do need to know those type of movements. I've seen it on EQAO, so it's something new added on. Okay. So for the rest of the class, I will give you guys some class time to finish up this. Okay, so up to the 29 questions. Tomorrow, I want to see if we can finish ticking up the rest of it. And then tomorrow, I want to emphasize on ticking up on this EQAO package. How many of you finished this EQAO package? Okay, good for you. Tomorrow, I want to focus on taking up pages 25, from page 25. These ones right here. So from page 25, these questions are ones that I've added in this year because it's based on the questions that I've seen lately. Okay, so do finish the rest of the package, but I want to emphasize on these ones. The last few questions here on the last 2-3 pages. Okay, so by the end of tomorrow, we should have finished all EQAO practice package and this exam review package. If you want more practice, it is on Brightspace under course review. Okay.